Hey beloved, it's your sister here, Priscilla. I know life is full and busy, so the fact that you're spending some of your time here means the world to me. I'm excited, I'm grateful, and I don't take it lightly. My heart is to make every episode you spend here absolutely worth it. Now, we've been recording all year to get ready for this launch, so if you hear some references from past months, just know it's all in preparation to bring you fresh encouragement every week. You'll hear episodes with my amazing sister Kristy, inspiring guest interviews, and deep dives into God's Word and the everyday together. I'm so glad you're here, so let's go. This is just the beginning.
We are so strong.
Hey everyone, welcome back to episode, I can't even keep count of what episode we're up to, but another Soul
Episode
Strong.
14, 15?
15, 16, who knows, of the Soul Strong podcast. Hello.
Hi.
I love this whiteness that's
All
happening.
white, yes.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm finally in the nice part of the second trimester, which is good. Yeah.
That's good. You're not feeling hot or anything like that?
No, not at all.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not hot though. We've only just started to have warm days.
I know, but like I was hot throughout winter. But I was closer to the end in winter.
Yeah.
Like I was in my third trimester in winter.
I remember with Avi, I was due in winter and I was like not hot, but able to wear really light layers like in the middle of winter. But yeah.
It's great. So happy for you.
That's not something that I've experienced, like being hot all the time when pregnant.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about something today that I wrote about it. I did like a little blog about it. I shared it on socials and I was like, this would be really cool to share as like a little bit of like let's have a discussion about this as opposed to just here. So I wanted to share about that. But should we get into a bit of sister questions before we get started?
Yes. What's your best piece of dating advice?
Oh, okay. Make sure you can have fun with the person without anything physical. The physical's fun, like super fun, but like if you remove all that, can you laugh together? Can you enjoy a good day together? Can you just hang out together and it feel comfortable as opposed to feeling awkward or things like that? And then I think the other piece of advice would be, it doesn't matter if your interests are different, just as long as you have similar values. I think values is what really grounds your relationship.
I would say pay attention to who they are once the hype is over. Because it's just all exciting and you forgive so much in the beginning. And
Very true.
It's all fun in the beginning. It's easy to have fun with them without being physical in the beginning. But once it's all like honeymoon period's over and things start to become normal and everything, are you still able to have fun with them? Do you still want to see them all the time? Can you do life with that person?
Yeah.
I just remember with Reggie, it was like we started dating and then we couldn't stop. Like for months, we wanted to see each other nearly every day. And we did. Not because we were in the honeymoon period, but because we were just like, there's no other person I'd rather be with right now.
Yeah, and you miss them, like when you're not with them. So you want to be with them. Yeah.
And it's easy to miss them in the first 2 weeks, but do you still miss them in 6 months or 8 months? And we did.
I still miss Zane now.
Yeah.
Like when I'm away for like more than a couple of days. I don't know if he feels the same way about me. He's such an introvert that he's like, ooh,
personality.
But yeah, I definitely think like where is think about the connection when it comes to dating, not just, being attracted to someone I think it's important, but it's not all there is. Because you can be attracted to someone, but then once you're with them, like, what are we talking about? Or like,
also, that attraction's not going to be there forever in the sense that they're going to get older.
Yeah.
Their bodies may change. Like, attraction comes and goes with the seasons of time.
Mm-hmm.
Even me, I think, like Reggie's had so many different body types with me, from being not pregnant to postpartum. Like, there's been so many seasons where he's had to just, and he doesn't care, but I care. But he has to just be like, okay with it, you know? And that's the same with him. Like, he's getting grey hair. I don't care. I love it because I love an older guy. So I'm like, I embrace the greys with him. I love it.
I haven't even noticed the greys.
Yeah, it's not heaps,
No,
just
I
a
know,
few.
but it would
they
be like around
definitely-
the sides.
even around the back, the top, everywhere. He's got greys.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, just things like that. You go, oh, this is a change in your
Yeah.
physical features.
Yeah.
That this is not the guy I fell in love with
Yeah.
physically, but I'm still so attracted to him and still okay with all those changes because. Yeah. And he would even say, like, I'm skinnier now because he doesn't get to train anymore like he used to. When you look back at photos, he's so much like chubbier and fuller, but I don't care because like the guy I'm with now, I'm attracted to him. I still love him, but that's because I love him.
Do you ever have moments of like I know that love isn't a feeling, it's a choice, but do you ever have moments when you feel just so in love with him?
Yes.
I love when I have those moments.
still check him out to
Me
this day. I could be like
Why
sitting
don't
on the
you
edge
check Reggie
of
out? I check out Zane.
Me too.
Can you imagine? I've got something to say. Just kidding, as if. I
No.
check out Zane, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, do you check me out? Like I'm like, do you think I'm pretty still and beautiful? Because you don't say anything. No, he does.
The amount of times he's like,
But it's
yes,
like-
I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't. He goes, oh, I thought it. I'm like, what the heck? You know, yeah.
And then he goes through this thing. He's like, yeah, but then if I say it, I think that's what you want me to say. So if I say it, you're like expecting it. But if I don't, then I'm the bad guy. So I'm going to say it. But am I doing it just because you want me to? And I'm like, don't overthink it. Just tell me I'm beautiful.
That's what I was going to say. That's an overthinker
It's too
right
much.
there.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm like, oh, you're so handsome. Or, oh, I can't believe I got to marry you. Like, oh, I can't believe I got you. Like, I get like little infatuation moments. Like I'm like pinching myself that I got him as my husband.
That's so beautiful.
And he does the same with me.
Yeah, and I think that's the beautiful part about having dated for so long now. Like, yeah, we're married, but like you still need to date your spouse. I think you get to a point, well, I hope you do. I've enjoyed getting to this season of our lives where we've been together, I don't know, actually 13 or 14 years, and look forward to the rest of our lives together. Like I just think, yeah, that's us. And when we see old couples, like one of us will often turn to the other and like Zane will be like, that's us, babe. That's us. And I'm like, aw. All right, I'll ask you spin.
28.
If your sister was a celebrity, who would she be?
Like you.
Like, unless you have another sister.
There's already people that our whole lives people have said you look like or you remind them
I
of.
don't understand that.
It's Anne Hathaway.
Oh, really?
People always, even I sometimes from older video movies.
Wow. I used
You
to
look
get
like her or
Britney
similar.
Spears
I know.
too
So
often.
weird.
And from one guy, every time he saw me, he thought I reminded him of Helen Hunt. I was like, she's like 20 years older than me.
And like
how dare you?
and like white and blonde and
Yes.
blue-eyed. What the?
And he
Oh
would
my
always say,
gosh.
he'd be like, it's not just the looks, it's like her character and her personality. I'm like, how do you know? You only
Yeah.
know the actress.
Yeah.
But anyway.
If you were a celebrity, you would be like a Brene Brown or Mel Robbins or something. Like
gosh.
you'd be them.
That's such a compliment.
Yeah.
Well, cool. If you were a celebrity, I'd feel like you would be like a not that you're into that necessarily, but you'd be like an Anna Wintour, like an editor of something. Like someone who like doesn't say much, doesn't really give a lot away. You would just be like observing, like watching everything, but you have an opinion and you have something to say, and you would be like overseeing like the whole magazine that gets put together and all of that.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, I receive it in Jesus' name. Career change. Give me a magazine to run.
Because like I
That's
think
so
like
fun. I
her
love
role
that.
actually entails so many things. Like it isn't just fashion necessarily.
Yeah, totally. Love it. Do you want to do another one or
Sure.
just move on?
87. One after the other.
This is a loaded one.
Oh, okay.
Shivers. Okay. What's your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
Oh.
Vulnerability.
My biggest strength, I think, is probably adaptability. I think I can just, I can adapt, I can move, and let's just make it work. I think that's a strength. I don't know if it's my biggest strength, though.
Well, just say one. One
Yeah.
of your strengths and one of your weaknesses.
Yeah. Or actually, no, I think my biggest strength is I don't want to over spiritualize it, but I think it is the way my relationship with God. I think that's what I lean on all the time, and it's what has gotten me through, and it's what allows me to wake up in the morning and feel expectant and hopeful about the day because I know who He is. I think that's a real big strength. I think my biggest weakness is probably my feelings and emotions. I think I feel so much. I just I take things on that I don't need to. I'll empathize with people, or a story will happen and it'll really affect me, and that's a blessing and a curse. That's probably why I put it in the weakness category, because I think that it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, that really sucks, but it's another thing to start is it ruminating? Yeah, to start ruminating and then the next day still be like, oh, I hate that. Yeah, honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't have time for this. I need to move on with my life. What about you, lady in white?
I don't even know how to word it. When life happens or when we're going through things or whatever, I'm able to kind of just pull focus, and I don't feel like I'm swayed by everything too much. Maybe inside or emotionally I am swayed, but I'm able to just kind of see through to the other side a little bit, or
okay, cool.
Not like I can overcome immediately, and not that I'm not human and don't have emotions.
Of course.
But I'm able to, okay, I go into either problem solving, or I go into, I'm just going to sit in it for a bit, or let me just think about it. I don't kind of come undone. I hope, I feel like I'm like that. And I'm only thinking of this because of what you've just said. It's made me think about myself. But I also feel like one of my weaknesses is ruminating as well.
Yeah.
The thoughts, the internal dialogue is
sisters?
something that, but a lot of people, it's something that I'm finding out in the last year or so. A lot of people struggle with the internal dialogue.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I completely understand.
Yeah.
And the fact that we walk away from a conversation and we replay the conversation and we think, did I say the right thing? Or what did they mean when they said that? Or should I? And we just we overthink it as well.
My ruminating is even going back 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I can be lost in a train of thought of something that happened years ago and be stuck there. So I don't like to be alone with my own thoughts. So I'll often be playing music or watching a show, whatever. If I'm doing anything where I'm alone with my thoughts, I'll put something on because I don't want to deal with it.
Wow.
And earlier on this year, because I'm so sick of it. It's been years of my life where if I'm trying to fall asleep at night or if I'm doing the dishes or anything like that, my thoughts go crazy.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And I just was like, God, just heal me of this. I just want it gone. I'm so sick of this. And He was like, you need to start praying. When this happens, just stop and just start praying, either about the thing you're worried about or just start praying about your life. Pray over your kids or pray over yourself or your husband or your work or whatever. Just shift the dialogue or shift the thoughts and start talking to me. I was like, oh. And then 2 weeks later, my boss shared a devotional about the same thing. And she said that God had said to her, turn the internal dialogue off and start praying. Use that time to pray to me. And I was like, it was such affirmation. And I shared that with her. I was like, God just spoke to me about this. This is so incredible. So yeah, that's the end of that. So yeah.
That's cool because I think one of the things that my therapist has said repeatedly is to be curious about your thoughts. So if there is a thought that comes in, okay, why am I thinking this? It doesn't mean we give power to it and all of a sudden we think, oh, okay, this has to be front and center of our mind. It just means that we inquire about it and we're like, okay, why did this come up? Did something trigger it? am I being led to something or whatever it is? Like be curious about the thought. And then we kind of deal with it as opposed to just like pushing it aside, or in your case and my case as well, that we can't drive in a car in silence. Like I have to play something or I have to call someone or whatever. And then I've been convicted about that lately because I drive to the gym every single morning and I'm not really loving my audiobook right now. So I'm like desperate for something that I'm actually looking forward to, like listening to. And then I think, why can't I just sit in my thoughts? Like, why can't I? And I think it's because there are things that we just don't want to think about.
We want to escape it.
Yeah.
I do find sometimes though at the end of work, like at the end of the day when I'm coming home, if I have no kids in the car, I'm like, I don't even have the motivation or the energy to put something on. I'm so like overstimulated or over talked with my kids or over the kids' music or just what happened and nothing even has to be bad. It could have just been a really busy day.
Yeah,
just the silence. And I just think through stuff from work or what I have to do tomorrow and just kind of like cross the mental bridge from like busy life to home life or my career, my work, my job to my home. And I'm like, I can't have anything playing right now. You know, like being overtouched, like by your kids when you're like, nobody touched me again today.
No, I do not know that. I know that you do, but when you said that to me, I'm like, what is that?
But it's an actual thing. Like sometimes mums, they feel like because they've got a toddler or they're breastfeeding and then their husband comes and they're like, don't touch me. Like I've been touched all day by, and you're just overstimulated. It's like that with my brain. It's like not one more thing and just silence and drive the whole way home in like a zombie in silence. So that's probably the only time where I'm like, I don't want to put anything on.
Yeah.
I just want to listen to my nothing, to air, to air, to the breathing of my nose.
The sound of the wind. I had this one, there was these consultants that came and worked with our leadership team at a previous job that I worked at. And I was talking to him about the drive home and how like I wasn't disconnecting by the time I got home. So I'd walk in and I would still feel all of and at the time, my drive home was anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes. So it's a long time. Right. And he would say, he said this one thing, he said, try to do something that becomes like a ritual at the end of work that just signals your brain that this time has now finished and you're now stepping into another time. And he's like, it could be anything. It could be something that you do habitually. It could be the way you lock up your office, or it could be the way you walk to your car or whatever. But one thing he told me was, even if you got a bottle of water and just poured it out of the side of your car as like a symbol of, this is the end of my work day. And I did it once and I was like, okay, like it obviously didn't gel with me.
I love it.
But like I love the idea of it being like having something that you do as a ritual to like tell your brain we're done with this. And I have a baby and he needs to be put in a sleeper to go to sleep. And the amount of times that, like, you know, mum will be like, oh, it was too hot, so I didn't put him in. And he doesn't go to sleep. Or like we'll be out somewhere and he just doesn't go to sleep. And I'm like, we have these cues as a baby, but we think as adults, we don't need cues. We can just switch from one thing to the next. And I'm like, I need a sleeper, like something that is like a visual cue to tell me like, okay, we're switching from this to going to sleep or whatever the next phase is.
Mine is packing up my desk at work. I don't like to leave it cluttered. Every now and then when there's like lots of marking or I've been handed lots of things, it might be a bit messy, but I like to pack up my desk at work, make sure everything's tucked away, my laptop is closed, my diary's away, like everything gets nice and clear and clean and organized, not because of organization, but because it's like, I'm done. I've closed shop. And then tomorrow when I arrive, I'm reopening the desk and opening everything the next day. So when I leave, I like look at my desk to make sure it's all nice and neat and packed away. And the things that are important, whatever, I might leave like on the side or things I need to remember for the next day. But yeah, I love packing up my desk.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. And being like, okay, I'm done. Sometimes if I'm Like maybe once a week, I'll even shut my laptop down at work.
Oh, okay, like turn it
good.
off.
Yeah, like turn it off.
Yeah, I don't think I remember
It's like
last time I turned it
almost
off.
teacher code.
Yeah.
We just have so many tabs open. There's so many ongoing jobs, and we use that as a way to like make sure we remember to do them, I think. And every now and then I'm like, close. That's the best feeling is when you're like, did that, done, and then shut the laptop down. Oh, see you tomorrow.
All right, should we get started? Get into it? So I read this passage of scripture. It was actually a few weeks ago, and it was like because of the way that the way I understand the world, I love it when things like fall into categories or fall into like lists, or there's just like an order to how you can understand something. And I know like when you read a passage of scripture, or you're reading a story, there's so many like takeaways. But with this passage, there was like 4 contrasts, and it basically is what's happening on the outside versus what's happening on the inside. So it kind of goes with what we were talking about before of like our internal dialogue and the fact that circumstances outside, especially outside of our control or whatever, they can be coming at us, or we can like through no fault of our own just walk into something that's super duper hard. But then what happens on the inside when things like that go down? So do you want to read the passage for us? Because I feel like I've chatted away for a while.
All right. 2 Corinthians 4:7-9. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed.
The key takeaway line here is the struggles on the outside, they don't have to overcome the strength on the inside, which I really love that, considering that our name is Soul Strong. So I'm very inclined to like lean into things that are things of strength. But I wanted to play a game. Did you see the game that I sent you? All right. So there's 4 different scenarios. So it's like pressed, perplexed, hunted, or knocked down. Okay. I know it's such a weird, like, let's make a
play
game.
bamboozle.
But it's like, we'll read a scenario each, and then you have to answer which one of those 4 does that make you feel like. Okay. All right. So your baby decides that at 3 a.m. is time to like, or your child to just have a party.
What are the 4 again?
Pressed,
Yeah.
perplexed, hunted. Hunted is a bit full on, like it's like persecuted, or knocked down. So it's up to you what you say.
Perplexed.
Yeah.
Because none of my children do this.
Perplexed and knocked down, to be honest.
I'll be like, do you think you are?
3 a.m. Let's
Do you
sleep.
think you are? Go to bed.
Okay, you go next.
Unexpected bill arrives in the mail.
We've had a couple of those recently.
What's an unexpected bill? Like a fine?
Yeah.
That's the only unexpected bills I get.
Yeah. Or we got a Centrelink bill the other day.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
They're
for
annoying.
The childcare subsidy.
Oh, yeah.
If you
get overpaid,
you have to pay back
because it's tax time.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
So annoying. Hunted.
Yes, perfect. Hunted for sure. Especially when it's a fine. I'm like, they found me.
I know. They got me. Negative comments or disagreements about faith on social media. Oh, mate.
I don't.
You are lucky.
No, but I don't. In general, that does not interest me.
Yeah.
I skip past it. I'm like, no time for you.
But you're off social media, aren't you?
But I am. But even when I'm on it, when I was on it, and I'd see that, I'd be like,
to be honest,
3 times in my life where I've contributed, biggest mistake I've ever made.
Oh no, I've never contributed
because people, or I post or share something, people like that and love, come at you, hunted. But now I'm like, you're all fools for getting involved.
I don't post anything like about those kinds of things. I just mainly post about my family or like Bible stuff. But I have been very perplexed with what people are writing. I'm like, what? Like, I'm just so confused. Like, how could you say that? How could you think that? How could you write that? You know, it's one thing that if you think about it, but you've just made it public.
It's not even what your opinion is. It's the fact that you have so like at a cutthroat level, abandon all Christian morals of respect, kindness, holding your tongue, everything, and gone rah on the internet or to someone that you know and just like completely demolish them. I'm just like, what?
And we saw that.
Who do you believe in?
We saw that in the pandemic. Like in the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Shots were fired like crazy. And there's been a resurgence of that now with everything going on in the world. And it honestly perplexes me.
Yeah. Perplexed. Yeah. Spill coffee over your laptop. I've done this.
I've not done that. I've dropped my laptop in the bath. That I thought Zane was going to come and hunt me down, but he didn't. He was very gracious when I told him. You've spilled coffee on your laptop?
Like I've I accidentally knocked a teacup over. I've spilled it on myself. Like, yeah, I've spilled stuff many times accidentally.
Did it ruin your laptop?
No, you just quickly dry it. Yeah.
That's all right.
Probably. What's the other two?
Pressed. Pressed is when you like feel like you're.
But what's the other one? The fourth one?
Knocked down.
Probably knocked down because I knocked it down and it knocked me down.
So
back.
like a literal knocking down. Pray for an answer, but feel God is silent.
I think pressed.
Yeah.
Just like that feeling. Okay. You're just like, oh God, what's going on?
That's actually a good one. I would agree with that one.
Running late, every traffic light turns red. The hunted has become the hunter. I'm hunting the world down and killing everyone. Get out of my way.
Medical test comes back needing follow-up. I would probably say perplexed because I would try not to get to the point where I'm knocked down. If we're at that stage of it, that you're needing a follow-up.
You don't have an answer yet.
No, you don't have an answer.
Kids dump out just folded laundry. I don't think there is a word under heaven that can describe the wrath I feel when my kids make a mess of the folded laundry.
Yeah, but your kids are older. Like they should know better.
Oh, exactly.
What about the baby?
That hasn't happened in ages.
What about Maverick? When he just like sees piles and he's like, and I'm like, get away.
All of the above.
Misunderstood in a conversation that turns into conflict. Yeah, that's tricky.
Probably maybe knocked down.
I would feel knocked down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lose Wi-Fi right before an important meeting or live stream. Pressed?
Probably pressed, yeah. Someone mocks your faith publicly. Ooh.
I feel like this is the same as the other one. Yeah, hunted. Working hard on something and it completely flops. Knocked down maybe.
Yeah, I would definitely say knocked down. Okay, so like Paul was writing this when he like wrote this letter to the Corinthians. And I always think of that Gaither song, pressed down, shaken up. I don't know the words, but it's something like that. So every time I read this, I think, it's like, we're going to walk on, keep on. And I don't even know what I'm saying, but I can hear it in my head, but it's one of those songs. So I just wanted to kind of like break down those four different things because it's talking about something that's happened externally, versus what is supposed to be happening internally. So this first one is pressed but not crushed. And it's literally that word pressed in the original language is like feeling like there's literally a crowd around you. So if we're talking about mums feeling like they don't want to be touched, like that's literally what you should think of when you're thinking of being pressed is like something's all around you, touching you. And these troubles are really just, it's like we're smack bang in the middle of a conflict that's happened for the history of time. There's always been conflict between God and Satan, and now we're in it. And I think that there's something to be said about not being surprised by conflict if we've always been in the middle of a conflict. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
So he's writing to it. He's writing to the Corinthians, encouraging them, saying like what you have to share, which is the gospel. Because in verse 7, it talks about how we're a vessel, a very fragile vessel, but what's inside is really important. So the vessel is going to get broken. Like it will get torn apart because we're humans. But there's this call, and the commentaries, one of the commentaries that I was reading actually says this, there's a call to be brave. to be courageous and loyal. And it says, circumstances do not determine the climate of the Christian soul. And I really loved that because it meant that like what's going on in our soul has to be like true to who we know we are, as opposed to like, oh, next Monday I'm going to find out something really like hard and I'm going to like completely fall over about it. So I think that there's something to be said about the fact that the state of our soul, the temperature of our soul, if we're going to be talking about climate, it's actually determined by the Lord, not by the chaos around us.
That's like Brooke Littlewood's song New Wine. It's like this whole song is basically what we're talking about. And I love in the first verse when she sings that like pre-chorus line, so I yield to you into your perfect hands. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. I love that line. I wish she repeated that in the second verse again. It's like the most understated line. It's so powerful.
I think one time I repeated it like 10 times in worship. I just made people keep singing it over and over again just to like get it in our heads. We need to yield.
Because when you trust God, you don't actually need to understand what's in front of you.
Yeah.
You don't actually need to know what the future holds or anything, because trusting God is enough. But even just to go off what you were saying before, even in the bridge when she says, where there is new wine, there is new power, new freedom, and that freedom is here. And I just think that's the point of the internal thing that we have, or we're supposed to be holding on to, is that we are living in the new wine. We're living in the promise of what he's done for us and what he will do for us. So there's new power there that we have access to all the time. And it's actually taking comfort in that, not taking comfort in answers or the known.
Sure.
It's just taking comfort in, well, the power's here.
Wow.
So that's all I need to worry about.
I like that we're acknowledging the power of God, as opposed to like acknowledging the plan that we want to know.
That's right. Which
in
in the end we get it.
Yeah.
In the end he gives us our answer and he gives us our solution at whatever point. But that's not the point that Paul's talking about. He's not actually, in this verse, I feel like he's not actually, or passage I should say, he's not actually focusing on God will give you an answer. He's actually talking about the journey. He's actually talking about the waiting or the in-between parts before you get to the finish line of that season or that thing you're going through. He's actually like, how are you going to handle this when you're going through it?
Sure, yeah.
It's pressed. You're pressed, you're perplexed, you're hunted, you're all these things. So what are you doing while you're all four things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bible ever says that God gives you the answer.
No.
Like I'm literally trying to rack my brain now thinking, where is there a passage of scripture where it says God is going to give you the plan? God is going to give you, it says God will give you purpose. He will give you promise. He has a plan. Yeah.
He's got a solution for you. He's got a promise for you.
But we're trusting in his power. We're not trusting in our knowledge.
And we're trusting that he's faithful.
Yes.
We're not trusting that he's got an answer. We're just trusting that he's faithful. That's it. And that was like the dudes that didn't bow down.
Sure.
Even if he doesn't. It's just, they just trusted that God's faithful. Not that they would be saved. Yeah.
So good. Okay, the next contrast is that we are perplexed, but not in despair. And that's really, I think that's underrated, because we can be confused, we can doubt, we can even feel like the ground that we're walking on is really unsteady, but we're not driven to despair, which means that we have this hope because we've seen, and this is in this part of the scripture, commentaries were saying that we need to remember what God has done for us in the past. That's how we step out of this confusion, is because we remember the testimonies that we've already walked in. And that's why it's so powerful. And speaking about what's in the Bible, again and again, it talks about how we need to tell the next generation about what God has done, that we need to be telling our children, we need to be telling the stories of God's faithfulness. And that's what this is saying, that we're not in despair, even if we feel perplexed, even if we feel a bit confused. And the other day we were reading in our worship, we were reading something and I said, I wonder why Jesus would have said that. And Hunter, my very responsible, adhere to justice and the rules, 7-year-old, he goes, Mummy, don't be rude. You can't question God. And I was like, oh, we're going to have a talk. Because it was just this sense of like, in his mind, what the Bible says is what the Bible says. But I know that we can doubt. We can feel like completely confused, like, God, what in the world is happening here? Like, why is this happening? But because we've seen what he's done before, we're not in despair.
I think that it's so powerful what you just said, because I think that's the reason why we do tend to go back into like spiraling out or questioning God, or why did this happen to me, or freaking out or whatever. I always think, why are we not just like standing firm on his promises and standing firm on the God that's always been there for us, the God that's always been there and come through for us? Why is that not our first response?
Why is trust not our default?
Because it's supposed to be. And I feel like I've walked a very close journey with God, where I've walked away from him and closely with him, and I've got a relationship with him where I'm like rock solid. I'm rock solid on he's going to come through for me, because I have very clear moments in my life where he came through in such profound, unforgettable, tangible ways. But I think it's just so important when you were saying about remembering the past. I think that's why testimony is so powerful as well. And not just testimony for the sake of salvation, but testimony is in, we need to not just be focusing, I think, in our spiritual walk, in our church lives and everything we do. We can't just be focusing on the things we need to pray for, the things we're asking of God. We actually need to be spending a lot of focus and energy on the things we're praising him for and thanking him for, because we have to have it at the forefront of our mind what he's done and who he is in our lives. We, for First Peoples, like Indigenous people in Australia, they have this thing called law time. And it's just a season of time every year where they have songs and rituals and ceremonies where they gather in their clans, and the elders tell the younger generations about the dreaming or about their beliefs, their conventions, the rules, everything, what they believe in, and how we do things and all of that. And they do that every year. They have this thing called law time. Whether they still uphold that now or not, I'm not quite sure, but historically they used to do that. And when I found this out, I was like, that's so cool. Like verbally, they made a time seasonally. We have law time. And I feel like that's what we do at church. That's what we do in our everyday walks. But actually being there for them. And when Paul talks about meeting with the church and gathering with the body of Christ, edify each other, that's what he's talking about. He's saying, come together regularly, often, because you're all going to be going through things at different times. And what you have to say to him or what he has to say to you, the Spirit is moving through that. And I find so many times in my life, I'm empowering someone or I'm talking to someone or they're sharing with me and I'm like kind of speaking life over them. And I'm not like a guru. I may not have even gone through what they're going through, but I just know that God's just using me in that moment to testify of his goodness or what he's going to do and remind that person of who God is in this season so they can go, oh yeah, fix my eyes. And then that's happened to me so many times where I'm talking or I'm sharing and then that person is speaking to me. Again, maybe not based on the experience what I've experienced, but they've experienced God. So they're sharing that. So I think it's so important to be in community as well, because that's what we're actually meant to be doing, edifying each other and bringing each other closer to God and reminding, hey, he's good. His promises are good. You'll be fine. Like fix your eyes on him. It's going to come. The promise is going to come.
Yeah. And in Revelation, it actually says that the way that we defeat the enemy is by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So yeah, testimony matters. Like it is huge. And I think that it can't be something that we overlook. So something that I've started recently is I've started this note on my phone that's just like God's faithfulness. Yeah. So every time something happens that I write it down, because when I'm feeling discouraged or when I'm feeling like, oh, like what was that question before when you feel like you're praying but God's silent? I read those stories and I'm like, wow, like God is so faithful. And some of them are worth sharing with other people, but a lot of them are just for me. Like they're just my own, I'm testifying to myself, like that this is who God is. I think that there's power in also sharing your story as well. And with something like social media, where we're sharing photos of our family, we're sharing celebrations, we're sharing good things, we also need to be testifying about what God is doing. Like that is such an awesome platform to say like, hey, this is a blessing, or hey, we went through this struggle and then look how God came through, and give him the glory. Like look what God did in the midst of what we thought was such a crummy situation. Okay, point 3, hunted but never abandoned. And this is talking about persecution and opposition. And we were at church a few weeks ago and the pastor was preaching about how every single one of the apostles, every single one except John, but John was exiled, they were all martyred for their faith. And it actually showed like it was a whole diagram and it had like the name and then how they died. It was brutal. Like, oh my Lord in heaven. So obviously persecution was a huge thing for being a Christian, but we're still seeing that now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's persecution till death. It could be opposition that's coming because of what you believe. But I wanted to take this a step further and say it's not just the gospel, the message of Jesus Christ that you'll be persecuted for. It could be enacting the gospel. So like when you show love to someone that you shouldn't show love to, there could be opposition for that. When you forgive someone that is unforgivable, there's opposition to that. When you show mercy or when you show hope to someone that it's in a hopeless situation, people won't necessarily understand that. And there'll be some people that will be bold enough to come and say to your face that you should never have forgiven that person, or you should never have let that person get away with what they've done. Like, and so I think we can't just think of persecution and opposition in the sense of like martyred for your faith. It's also in when we are living out the fruits of the Spirit, there will be opposition for that. And sometimes that opposition comes from ourselves. Like when we know that we're supposed to forgive, we know we're supposed to let this go and let God deal with it. And our other side is like, no, we need justice. No, we need vengeance. No, they need to know how bad they've hurt me. And I think that's really like, it's a sobering thought. But this is saying that we can be hunted, persecuted, be opposed, but we'll never be abandoned. We're never alone in that situation, because God is always meeting us in every single moment. Like when Jesus was in the wilderness, the angels were ministering to him. When Jesus went to the mountain to pray, God was with him. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, angels came around him. So even when you feel like you are completely alone and completely abandoned, God is going to send reinforcements. I think that's amazing.
I don't have anything to say to that point, because I don't think I've ever related to the whole like persecuted for your faith, and purely because I've never experienced that, not because I can't have empathy towards it, but just I've never been in a position where I've been persecuted for something, or sure, I've been in a debate or someone's questioned things, but that is such a foreign concept to me. And I live in a first world, so that makes sense.
And that's why I wanted to bring it into stuff that we can relate with, like opposition for our beliefs, even like what we're seeing on social media. Like we're seeing it so much that now everyone has a platform to say whatever they want and the whole world can hear it. So I think it's just more in our face now. Yeah. The last contrast here is that we're knocked down, but we're not destroyed, which means that we will stumble and fall repeatedly, like again and again and again. And I'm reading the book by Brené Brown called Rising Strong, and she talks about the rumble that you have and how every single one of us, we are in an arena of our life and our face is in the dirt. And if we're ready to start the rumble, we will fall. It's how we rise back up again. That's what strengthens us and grows us. And as I was reading about it, I started thinking about the fact that failing, sorry, I knew I was going to wreck this. Start again. As I was thinking about it, I started thinking that falling, we equate falling to failure, but falling does not need to equal failure, because if we get back up, then we haven't failed. We might have learned a lesson and be like, okay, cool, I wouldn't do that again. But we are able to, by the power of God, we're talking about that power earlier, we're able to not actually be destroyed, which means when we fall, we're not taken out of the game. We got knocked down.
I just think God said he's overcome the world. So how can you ever equate falling to failure? I know we make mistakes, we do.
Because we do.
We do make mistakes, and we do have failures in life. But even in that, he's got grace and mercy. So I just think there can never be a point where I just feel like failure should not even be in your vocabulary.
Yeah.
As a Christian, I just, and I say that to myself as a joke all the time, oh, I'm such a fail, or what a fail. Yeah, sure, jokingly. And we're human, but it just, for me, it doesn't fit in the equation.
Yeah.
Failure doesn't fit in the equation, in God's equation of what he can do. If God is in control of your life and your will be done, if that's your sentiment or your prayer, or in your home as a family, that's what you're believing for, that God's will be done in your life, then the failure is never, because failure means that's the end. Failure is a result, but there is no end with God. It's just ongoing of what's next and goodness and all of that.
And failure can be we can see it as it's a mistake that we've made. So something that we can regret, or something that we wish that we'd never done that. But I often wonder if it wasn't for those failures at those different points in our lives, we wouldn't be the people that we are today. So that's why I don't think failure is, and what Corey Asbury says in his song, My Father's House, is it? He says, failure is never final. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at, that failure, if we fall over, that's not the end of our story. We can actually get up and rewrite, or not rewrite, sorry, because that's erasing what's happened. We can actually write a different kind of ending to whatever the mistake or the failure is. And that's important, because it means that we are valuable as a person, not because of what we do. Yeah. Because then when we do make a mistake, or when we fail, or when we fall, or whatever, we wrap that up into a box of oh, I didn't fail, I am a failure. And that kind of a shift of identity, that's not what God has called us to be. He doesn't call us a failure, he calls us his child. And so there is a plan, there is a purpose for this.
And you're also taking the power away from God as well.
Right.
Because saying I'm a failure, or I have failed in this area, is also saying there's nothing more God can do, which is just so the opposite of truth. I think you can be on your last rope in a situation and hand it over to God, and he can turn it all around. I just think
totally
failure is not something that, I'm done.
I think but I think that God, he's a master of turning things around.
Yeah.
He's good at that.
That's all he does with us. Because we're constantly doing the wrong, or taking it in our own stride. And then he's like, when you're ready, I'll turn it all around.
Right.
When you're ready, I'll do my part.
Humanity is a list of derails that God has had to just come and course correct a little bit. And I think we were talking about this with Zane a couple of nights ago, and we were saying how, because we're praying about something at the moment, and he was saying, I don't want to jump the gun like Saul did. And I was like, which time? Because Saul, he'd made a few blunders. But he said when Saul was supposed to wait for Samuel to arrive to do the sacrifice to God, and Samuel took too long. So he just went and sacrificed to God. And Samuel was when Samuel did get there, he's like, what have you done? You've done something that you're not supposed to do. And then because of that, the kingdom was taken away from Saul and his bloodline, and they all died a really sad death because they jumped the gun. They didn't wait for God to do what he was doing. And they were so desperate to be like, hurry up, God, just show us what you're going to do. And I think in that respect, there was no more to be done because Saul made his bed, basically. And I think like sometimes a point that we need to just really be careful of is that we're not jumping the gun to how we think we solve the problem, but let God turn something into something really good. And I always go back to this verse. It's become like my life verse, is when Joseph turns to his brothers at the end of, after Jacob died, and the brothers thought that they're like, oh, now he's going to get us back for what we've done. And he said, what you intended for evil, God turned it into good. And I just wonder if all of these external circumstances, they're always going to be there. We're always going to be pressed. We're always going to be hunted, knocked down, perplexed. But what if we can be like steadfast in our internal strength in God, that no matter what, we can say, okay, God's going to do something out of this. God is faithful and he has never let us down, and that won't start now. And I think that's an understanding that particularly and personally for me, that it's something that I've had to walk into daily. Like I can say this in a podcast and I hope it encourages, but it's something that every day I have to keep yielding to that and saying, what's the line from New Wine? So I yield to you into your careful hands.
I think that's the biggest thing for me in my personal journey, my faith journey, is that everything I say is not actually from knowledge, it's experience. Like I'm not drawing on verses or stories from the Bible or saying things because I read it, so it's true. I've experienced all of it. I've experienced God's unending love. I've experienced his faithfulness time and time again. So the verses are actually supporting, for me, in my experience. I know for a lot of people, the knowledge comes first and they kind of rely on that. But I just think it's so important to experience these things because that's what I feel sometimes is the default for people, to resort to emotion or to resort to fear or to resort to, freaking out or whatever, because they're not relying on experience. They're just relying on, they heard the verse in church or they heard the story or they read it one time. And I think that's why when we go back a couple of episodes when the verse said, test me, God, challenge me, sometimes it's good to go through things. It's actually something you should embrace almost, because what else do you have to hold on to if you don't have your own tangible journey with God? And I'm not saying that the word is not enough. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think experiencing is so important to all of these things, and to not be afraid of experiences and to actually go, okay, what is God going to do for me here? How will I walk away with like an amazing story or closer to God or being able to help someone else because of what I went through? To not be afraid of those things and to embrace them. And is it Paul? I reference him a lot, but is it he the one that says when you're going through stuff, count yourself lucky because you're actually closer to God than when things are going good?
Is that like consider it pure joy of when facing trials?
Yeah, I think so.
I want to say that's James.
It might be James.
It's definitely in the Bible.
When I reference the New Testament, I just assume it's Paul because he wrote most of it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I think to add to that, like that going back to Rakshak and Benny in the fire, like that intimacy that they had with God, which I've done like videos about this and stuff. So, but I just love it so much. It came from the fact that they were faithful. They got thrown in the fire, and then they got to have a conversation with God in the fire. They got to hang out with him. And so I think like that intimacy that comes from being in that hardship, like there's a gift there. Like the same thing that I believe about the wrestle that Jacob had when he wrestled with the angel of the Lord, which is Jesus the whole night. I think the blessing that he walked away from was that he hung out with God for that whole night. They were wrestling. I tend to even think that there was a verbal wrestle that was happening, that they were dialoguing and that he was trying to figure stuff out. And I think that there's a beauty that comes. And I loved what you said about don't be afraid of the trials, because that's kind of a default that we like fear it and we're like, oh, how are we going to come out of this? And it's like, but if we trust in the power of God and we trust that he's never failed us before, then we are going to come out of it one way or another. We are going to come out of it, but we'll come out of it stronger. We'll come out of it more experienced and hopefully more enlightened as to who God is and his character.
I think something that, you know, for me with my journey currently, I have 2 young kids and one of them's in school now. So the challenges of, you know, what they go through, discipline, behavior, them learning to become a part of society, like all of these things. And, you know, you get an email or you get a notification or whatever on the updates, the progress, the reports and all of that. And every now and then I have a freak out moment, like, because you go as a parent, this is all on you. Like you're raising the human.
Pressure is no joke.
And then every time you get some kind of information about how your kid is going, if it's not good news, you're like, well, I anyway have experienced that where I go, what am I doing wrong? And how do I fix this? Or how do I tackle that? And the last couple of times, God's just been like, did I let you down? And I was like, no, you didn't. And he was like, did I pull you through? Like the whole time, not just as a kid and not just as a teenager or a young 20-year-old. Did I pull you through? Did I make the best out of your life? Did I answer your prayers? And I was just like, yes, you did. You know, when he's like schooling you and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, so why wouldn't I do that for Jensen?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I pull through for him? The journey is long and it's going to be tough for you, Mum, but why am I not going to do everything I did for you for Jensen?
That's right.
And I was just like, yeah, that's right. So now when the emails come through or when things happen or you're navigating a new behavior or because kids are seasonal, there's always something around the corner, a new phase they're going through. Even with my 4-year-old, now it's like, okay, it's prayer focused or my approach, obviously not with him, but my personal approach with it, how I apply my faith to that is he came through for me, so he's going to come through for you and he's going to do everything above and beyond you could ever imagine for your child. And I just think that's the automatic default that he's hoping we are turning to in every situation. And that's just my season right now. Thank God there's nothing else really, you know, that we're facing. But I find the mothering part sometimes a weekly challenge because you're up against creating and raising and molding a human being. And it's real now. It's not just like, don't touch that or eat this. It's like life is happening. You know, they're out in the world doing their own thing at such a young age. Yeah. So with that, and that's all come from my own relationship with God. And I think I love that we started this whole series or season, I guess. One of our first episodes was our relationship with Jesus, the thing that we're upkeeping on our own, because you become perplexed, pressed, hunted, and knocked down when you're not upkeeping that relationship with Jesus. The secret place. I remember Bobby Houston, when we'd go to Colour, she'd always come back to the secret place, and there was worship songs written about it and everything. And I think, how are we maintaining that garden, that secret garden, or that secret place?
Him, I come to the garden
alone. He walks with me, he talks with me. It's in that place, it's in that secret garden, in that place where you have to return there to be able to then not be crushed, not be knocked down, not be destroyed, not be the other half of all those phrases that Paul says. That comes from when you're walking in the garden with God.
Because it's like, we will be knocked down, but we're not destroyed.
Exactly.
We will be hunted, but we won't be abandoned. We will be perplexed, but we won't be in despair. We will be pressed, but we won't be crushed.
And it's in those secret places and those secret times that God and the Holy Spirit also remind you remember when I did this, or remember that I've come through, or remember the promises. Like, it's not just that we're turning to him and leaning on his word, but by going to that place or finding the time to go to that place, that the Spirit is then able to speak to us as well, not just for us to go and vent and talk to him. Because yes, he wants us to come to him with all the problems, but we must return to that place to also hear from him as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's such an important point to like finish off, that this like formula isn't to erase the pain that we're going to go through. It's to position us in the right place so that when we do, we have hope, we have trust, we understand that God has a purpose for us. And I think we can say from experience, not that we know every scenario, but the scenarios that we've walked through, is that because he's never failed us, that has to be enough to know that he never will fail us. And I just want to like leave us with this takeaway point of like the struggles on the outside cannot overcome the strength on the inside. The struggles on the outside, it cannot overcome the strength that we build on the inside. And that strength is built every day, not just in the hard times. So when things are going good, we still need to be going to that secret place. We still need to be returning to the garden.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But we cannot just go to Jesus when it's hard. I mean, please do. But we need to be building that strength inside every single day. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We're building the kind of space we've always wanted to be a part of. A community where women can feel and think and laugh and maybe even shed a few tears. This is where real life meets real faith, and shared lived experiences plus open hearts will remind us that hope is always within reach. Our prayer is that every time you press play, you'll walk away lighter and stronger and ready to step into everything God has for you. So thank you again for being here. You are stronger than you know. Sending love, peace, and a little sparkle. If you loved today's episode, we would love if you would share it with a friend, and join us at soulstrong.com.au. Remember, we are better together.
I am, you are, we are so strong.